The atmosphere around Ibrox has been anything but quiet as Rangers look ahead to a January window that already feels more complex than many supporters expected. There is a sense that decisions made in the coming weeks could shape not just the rest of the season, but the wider direction of the squad under the current management. What initially looked like a straightforward opportunity to add quality and familiarity has instead turned into a situation filled with resistance, financial questions, and strategic dilemmas, all of which underline how delicate Rangers planning has become at this stage of the campaign. One of the most talked about debates among former players and supporters alike continues to revolve around the striking department and the feeling that a proven goal scorer was missed when the chance was there. The conversation has been reignited by the performances of Lawrence Shankland, who has once again shown why he is regarded as one of the most reliable forwards in the country. His ability to consistently find the net, his movement in the box, and his leadership qualities have all stood out this season, and there is a lingering belief that he could have offered Rangers exactly what they have lacked in key moments. Watching him dominate matches and deliver goals against strong opposition has only intensified the sense of frustration among those who feel the club hesitated when decisiveness was required. Rangers' current league position only adds weight to that argument. Sitting outside the top places with a significant points gap to bridge, every missed opportunity in the transfer market feels magnified. While there is still time to recover ground, the margin for error is shrinking and upcoming fixtures carry added pressure. Matches at Ibrox are expected to be statements of intent, particularly against sides that Rangers should be putting away convincingly if they are serious about climbing back into contention. The looming Old Firm clash early in the new year hangs over everything, serving as both a potential turning point and a reminder of how far the team must go to reassert itself domestically. Against that backdrop, attention has turned to the possibility of bringing a familiar face back to Glasgow, a move that on the surface appears to make perfect sense. The interest in Josh Windass is rooted not only in sentiment, but in practicality. He knows the club, understands the demands of playing at Ibrox, and has already worked closely with the current manager, building a relationship based on trust and tactical understanding. From Rangers' perspective, that kind of profile is appealing, especially in a window where adaptation time is limited and immediate impact is required. However, the reality of the situation has proven far tougher than the idea. The initial approach, centered on a loan deal, was quickly shut down, signaling that Rangers are not negotiating from a position of strength. Windass has become a key figure at his current club, contributing goals, creativity, and experience in a side pushing hard in their division. With a long contract in place, his club has little incentive to weaken themselves halfway through the season, and their stance has been clear from the outset. There is no appetite for a temporary move, regardless of past connections or personal relationships. Exploring a permanent transfer opens up a different set of challenges, most notably financial ones. Wage expectations and the overall cost of the deal pose significant hurdles for Rangers, who must balance ambition with sustainability. Even if there is openness from the player to at least listen to what his former club might propose, the numbers involved mean that compromises would be unavoidable. This is where emotion and nostalgia collide with cold reality. and history alone is unlikely to be enough to force a breakthrough. Windass's previous spell in Glasgow remains fondly remembered by many supporters, not just for the goals he scored, but for the moments he delivered on big occasions. Since then, his career path has been shaped by key relationships, particularly with the current Rangers manager, under whom he enjoyed a resurgence during a challenging period elsewhere. That shared past is a major factor behind the renewed interest, yet it also highlights the risks of leaning too heavily on familiarity instead of exploring alternative options that may be more attainable in the current market. While transfer speculation dominates much of the conversation, there is another issue quietly developing that could have long-term consequences for Rangers if not handled carefully. The future of Bailey Rice has become a growing concern, with the young midfielder approaching a critical point in his contract situation. Highly regarded within the game and already attracting attention from clubs south of the border, he represents both sporting potential and financial value. Allowing that kind of asset to drift towards the final year of his deal without clarity carries obvious risks. Interest from England continues to build, and that alone should serve as a warning sign. Clubs with strong academies and clear development pathways are always alert to opportunities like this, especially when uncertainty surrounds a player's future. For Rangers, the challenge is deciding whether Rice is part of their plans in the short and medium term, and if so, acting decisively to secure his commitment. Failing to do so opens the door to losing a promising talent for a fraction of his true worth, something that would be difficult to justify given the club's emphasis on developing and retaining homegrown players. There is a broader context here about how young Scottish talents are managed and valued. History shows that development is rarely linear, and players often flourish later than expected when given the right environment and patience. Rice's profile fits that pattern, and there is a belief among those who have watched his progress closely that he has the tools to succeed at the highest level domestically. The question is whether Rangers are prepared to back that belief with action, or whether hesitation will once again prove costly. As Rangers juggle immediate needs in the transfer market with longer-term considerations about squad building and youth development, the sense of a club at a crossroads is hard to ignore. Every decision now feels interconnected, from who arrives in January to who might quietly slip away if situations are not resolved in time. The coming weeks promise plenty of twists, and the pressure on the hierarchy to get these calls right continues to intensify with every passing match. That sense of pressure only grows when you look at how unforgiving the Scottish Premiership can be once momentum is lost. Rangers know better than most that long winning runs are often the only way to close gaps at the top, and that makes squad depth and inconsistency absolutely crucial. Injuries, suspensions, and dips in form have already tested the group this season, and there is an underlying feeling that the margin for error has been used up far too early. Every dropped point now feels heavier, and every selection decision is scrutinized through the lens of what might have been done differently months earlier. Inside the dressing room, there is an awareness that the demands of playing for Rangers never ease. Regardless of age or experience, senior players are expected to lead, not just with words, but with performances, particularly in high-pressure matches where composure and authority can change the flow of a game. At the same time, younger players are constantly being assessed on whether they are ready to step up and handle that weight. This balance between experience and youth has become one of the defining themes of the season, and it feeds directly into the debates around recruitment and contract management. The midfield area, in particular, remains a talking point. Rangers have options, but there is a feeling that the blend is not quite right, especially when matches become stretched or when the team is forced to chase a result. This is where the appeal of someone like Windass becomes clearer from a tactical point of view. His ability to operate in multiple roles, arrive late into scoring positions, and cope with the intensity of the Scottish game is well known. Yet, the reality remains that Rangers cannot simply wish a deal into existence, no matter how neatly it seems to fit on paper. What complicates matters further is the broader financial landscape of the club. Rangers must operate within limits that demand careful planning and foresight, particularly after significant investment in recent windows. Big fees and high wages bring expectations, and when returns are inconsistent, the scrutiny intensifies. Supporters want ambition, but they also understand the importance of sustainability, creating a constant tension between pushing the boundaries and protecting the club's long-term stability. This is why the situation involving Bailey Rice resonates so strongly. He is seen by many as a symbol of the pathway from academy to first team, a reminder that not every solution needs to be bought from elsewhere. Allowing a player of that profile to reach a point where his future is uncertain sends mixed messages, especially at a time when Rangers are looking to reinforce their identity and connection with their own development system. The fear is not just losing him, but what that loss would represent in terms of planning and foresight. There is also the human side of these decisions, often overlooked in the noise of speculation. For a young player, contract uncertainty can be unsettling, affecting confidence and focus at a critical stage of development. Rangers have a responsibility to manage that process with clarity and honesty, ensuring that talent is nurtured rather than left in limbo. Equally, if the club believes a move elsewhere is the best option, that decision should be made from a position of strength, not as a reaction to external interest or looming deadlines. Looking ahead, the fixture list offers both opportunity and danger. Home matches are chances to rebuild belief and apply pressure to those above, but only if performances match expectations. Away games, particularly against rivals, demand resilience and tactical discipline, qualities that have been inconsistent so far. The approaching Old Firm encounter looms as a defining moment, not just for points, but for confidence and credibility. How Rangers arrive at that match in terms of form and fitness will say a great deal about whether this season can still be reshaped. Behind the scenes, the manager faces a delicate task. He must assess not only who can improve the team immediately, but who fits the culture and standards he's trying to establish. Familiarity can be an advantage, but it can also be a trap if it narrows the range of options considered. January windows are notoriously difficult, often inflated and rushed, and Rangers cannot afford mistakes that will linger long after the initial excitement fades. As speculation continues and opinions fly from every direction, the feeling around Ibrox is one of cautious anticipation mixed with frustration. Supporters crave clarity, a sense that there is a coherent plan guiding these decisions rather than reactive moves driven by circumstance. Whether that clarity arrives through smart recruitment, decisive contract renewals, or renewed trust in emerging talent remains to be seen. But the stakes are unmistakably high as Rangers navigate this critical phase of the season. In the background, boardroom decisions will quietly shape the months ahead. Financial discipline, recruitment priorities, and contract negotiations all intersect with what happens on the pitch. Supporters may not see those discussions, but they feel the consequences. The hope is that lessons have been learned and that the club is prepared to act with clarity rather than hesitation. As Rangers push through this demanding period, the sense remains that the story of their season is still being written. There is room for change, for improvement, and for belief to return, but it will require decisive action and consistent performances. The coming weeks will reveal whether this squad can respond to pressure, whether leadership emerges when it is needed most, and whether the direction set now can carry Rangers into the new year with renewed purpose and confidence. The noise around the club is a reminder that Rangers are judged not only on results, but on how they respond to adversity. There is an expectation that setbacks are met with authority, that performances show intensity and purpose, even when circumstances are difficult. That standard has wavered at times this season, leading to frustration among supporters who are used to seeing a team impose itself domestically. Restoring that edge is as much a mental challenge as a tactical one, and it cannot be solved by one signing or one change alone. In that sense, the coming period is about accountability across the board. Players know that places cannot be taken for granted, especially with competition for roles likely to increase. Those on the fringes have an opportunity to force their way into contention, while established names must demonstrate consistency week after week. Training ground standards, match day intensity, and decision-making in key moments all come under sharper focus when margins are tight and patience begins to wear thin. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers are swirling round Ibrox that the gaffer's temper has finally boiled over. In the corridors and the concourse alike, the talk is that Rangers boss Danny Röhl snapped behind closed doors, delivering a line so stark it's left folk rubbing their eyes. According to sources close to the dressing room, Röhl is said to have branded two unnamed figures as cancers and vowed to cut them out, a turn of phrase that's travelled fast and grown legs of its own. No official word has come from the club, mind you, and that silence has only fueled the rumour mill. Some reckon the comment was heat-of-the-moment bluster after standards slipped. Others insist it was a calculated message meant to rattle cages and reset the hierarchy. In a city where fitbar is breathed as much as air, such stories dinny stay quiet for long. Those who ken Röhl's methods paint him as intense, demanding, and relentless about culture. The suggestion doing the rounds is that he sees the dressing room as sacred ground, and that any hint of dissent or complacency is met head-on. Aye, it's said he's nae afraid of strong language if it drives the point hame. Still, calling out two cancers is heavy stuff, and many around the club are asking whether that line was ever meant to escape the room. Speculation has turned to who the targets might be. Senior pros, fringe players unhappy why their lot, or simply a rumour inflated by repetition and pub chat. Without names, it's all smoke just now, but the idea of a clear-out has supporters guessing at what a rebuild might look like if the axe does swing. For now, Rangers carry on, outwardly calm, while the undercurrent buzzes. If Röhl did utter those words, it signals a manager ready to gamble on authority and shake-up rather than compromise. If he didn't, it shows how fragile trust can be when whispers take hold. Either way, the dressing room story is far from done, and the next chapters promise to be watched closely by a support that kens drama when it hears it. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned